Hi and welcome to the Weenie Roads podcast. And as cinema recovers from the Barbenheimer phenomenon, we ask, what else is there to really be excited about at the cinema this year? And what will some of next year's Oscar contenders be? And will anything come close to the box office haul of Barbie, which currently stands, as we record this, at around 1.3 billion? And it's a three-man pod today, as I'm joined by both David and Jose. How's it going, guys?
Doing well.
You sounded so unexcited about something that we should be so excited about. You were like, and to be excited about after Oppenheimer and Barbenheimer? Come on, this is cinema. This is cinema. You need to be excited, Neil. We've got so much to look forward to. We got like 10 films on this list.
That's more than 10.
More than 10.
About. Yeah,
Neil was very thorough with his research.
Yeah, we did nothing, but we're going to complain anyway.
Oh, no.
Okay. I added like one film and Neil still didn't put it on the thing.
Because you added it to the wrong list.
I added 2 horror films and you didn't add them.
Yeah, because you put it on the wrong
No,
one.
I understood. That was it.
You misunderstood the
I
mission,
understood
David.
the assignment.
David, Jose logged into the correct one this morning and added his notes. Look, you can see them. If you haven't even got it up, have you?
I have got them up. Is it the green stuff? I'm still
That's
alive.
what
Oh,
yeah.
is this what you're going to say, Jose? Is this like a little script for yourself?
I add a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh, okay. So spoilers. When we talk about the killer, Jose is going to say an assassin known as a killer. Very original. Spoilers for anyone out there. That's coming up.
And trying to pull this runaway train back onto the tracks, not like the end of Mission Impossible. We're not going to do this as a list like we normally do, because we're just going to go through what films we're excited about and how we think that film's going to do at the box office and its chances of awards. So first up, and obviously I think we need to talk about Martin Scorsese's next epic, this time produced by Apple TV, Killers of the Flower Moon, which I believe you had on your list last year, David.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? I feel like we've been waiting a long time for this film to be coming out. But I'm excited. If it actually does come out in 2023, they're probably going to let's put it back another 5 months. Maybe there'll be a streaming site strike. That'd be
No, don't even joke about that, man. Anyway, based on a book of the same name by David Gran, which deals with a series of murders in the Osage Nation during the 20s, when oil is discovered on tribal land, and if the trailer doesn't make it obvious, rich white people want to steal the oil at any cost from the tribespeople. The film stars Scorsese regulars Robert De Niro, his 10th time working with him, and Leonardo DiCaprio, his 6th time, and then both starring together for the first time, I believe. Now, as well as last year's Best Actor winner Brendan Fraser, we've also got Jesse Plemons and relative newcomer Lily Gladstone. Now, the film has a budget of $200 million, and with an epic length of 3 hours and 26 minutes, I don't really see this being a massive box office success, especially with it dropping on Apple TV shortly after its release. In fact, I mean, it's pretty obvious it's only being released in the cinemas, so it can qualify for the Oscars. And, I mean, let's be honest, it's Scorsese, right? This is easily going to be up there for the most nominated films when it comes out, because at this point, anytime Scorsese makes a film, it's showered with awards at this point in his career, as they rightly should be.
Yeah, a lot of his work at this point is, like you said, it's showered with nominations.
Yeah.
But he's not won anything, I don't think, since Hugo. Has he?
No,
Has
and that's,
he
to be
won
honest,
an Academy Award since Hugo?
didn't the Irishman pick up anything?
I don't think it did. I don't think it won. Let's go through them. Silence didn't win anything. What was the one with the Margaret?
Wolf of Wall Street?
Wolf of Wall Street, thank you. That didn't win anything. That got nominated for loads, I'm pretty sure, but it didn't win since then. He's only done like 4 films since then, hasn't he? The Irishman, like we said, I don't think that's one. Yeah, that's it. It's like Hugo. Hugo won, I know.
Oh, no. 2007, The Departed. That was the most recent.
Yeah, it got Best Picture, Best Editing, Best Adapted Screenplay. Hopefully he wins one if the film is the best film. Not just...
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily need to win Best Picture. I'm just saying, just win an award.
Yeah, but
and if it wins an award,
before,
then... Yeah, no, I'm just hoping this one does. I'm just saying, I'm hoping this one does. That's what I... But by saying that I'm hoping it does, it means I'm hoping that it's a good film.
Okay, so, yeah.
Actually...
like everybody is, probably.
Looking at his history, in terms of...
wins...
Academy Awards, he's been nominated multiple times, but only won for The Departed for Best Director. That's the only Academy Award he's won. He's been nominated for British Academy Film Awards and won a few times. Goodfellas for Best Film Direction and Adapted Screenplay. And Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Best Film. That was 1975.
That's literally what I think is his second film, I think.
Hugo won for Best Cinematography, apparently, but didn't... That's not really...
I mean, yeah, Scorsese's had 9 films that have been nominated for Best Film. And yet, it's weird that he tends to, his most nominated films these days, especially in the past, tend to be ones. No, he won Best Director for The Departed, didn't he?
Yeah,
That's the
what
one
you just said,
film.
yeah.
That's the one, which is crazy.
Well, when you see his list, when you see his like filmography, he's
Has been nominated for Hugo, The Wolf of Wall Street, and The Irishman for Best Picture and Best Director. He's been recognized. It's not an issue.
I'll tell you what I'm actually buying. They're re-releasing on a special 4K remaster of Mean Streets, like the big special edition of it soon, which was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think my favorite Scorsese is probably Gangs of New York. I'd say I really like Gangs of New York.
said no one ever.
I'm a big fan of Gangs of New
you
York.
know.
I really like that film.
Much respect.
Hey, I'm just saying, if it's controversial, whatever, it's not like Raging Bull.
It is.
Actually, Goodfellas. I really like Goodfellas as well.
Goodfellas. That's
the
right
I like
answer.
Goodfellas. It's one of the between them two for me.
I was going to say, yeah, Goodfellas, Casino, Taxi Driver. I'll tell you what's really underrated on Scorsese, thing that I really love. The only film I think he made with Nicolas Cage, Bringing Out the Dead, where he plays the ambulance driver in New York. Awesome film.
I haven't even seen that.
That's really underrated. It's brilliant.
Wow.
I mean, it's Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, but as a really office face paramedic on like the night shift in New York when he's just dealing with crazy shit all the time. But it's a really good film, man. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Killers of the Flower Moon. I think let's move on to the next film. And if it's not delayed by the ongoing strikes, then Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 is due out towards the end of November this year. Now, the first film did do surprisingly well, considering it came out at the tail end of the pandemic, and it did have a very short window before it appeared on HBO Max at the time. Now, Part 2 already adds to its impressive cast by adding Florence Pugh, who hopefully has more to do here than she did in Oppenheimer, as Princess Irulan, the Emperor's daughter, unrecognisable Elvis himself, Austin Butler, taking on Sting's role as Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, heir to Skarsgård's House of Harkonnen. You got Bond girl Léa Seydoux joins as Lady Margot, a Bene Gesserit and friend of the Emperor, and that brings us to the Paddish Emperor himself and head of House Corrino, played by the legendary Christopher Walken.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Now,
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
Did you have to practice those names as well?
That's really good.
I think you did really well.
Not.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, I have read the book and I've watched other interviews, so I didn't practice. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to make sure I never say that. Not like when we pronounce,
like any Irish name ever, yeah.
Any Irish name, yeah. So yeah, Dune 1 took over 402 million at the box office and won 6 Oscars from 10 nominations for cinematography, editing, score, visual effects, production design, and sound. Arguably, it should have been up for best film as well, if we're honest. Now, earlier in the year, I controversially said that I was looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 more than Dune Part 2 and our most anticipated films of the year. And as you quite rightly said at the time, David, what? No, you're wrong. But that was before we got the second trailer for Dune Part 2 that actually had some humour in it. And also, it didn't give away any of the film's like major set pieces. And yes, David, you did pick this as your most anticipated film of the year. And this was back in the PJ days, pre-Jose.
PJ, I like that.
Now, I've said this many times that Denis Villeneuve is one of the greatest filmmakers working today without a bad film in his filmography. And with each film as a director, he's becoming more of a selling point on the film's quality than IP or anything else, very similar to Christopher Nolan. I think he's getting to that stage where they're like, it's a Denis Villeneuve film. What's it about? It doesn't matter. We're going to go and see it. Kind of like Nolan. Now, again, I think this is going to be up for all the awards this coming season. And I'm predicting it's going to top out around the £700 million mark. And if it's as good as Part 1, then really this should be up for Best Film and Best Director, as well as all the technical awards.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you've just said there. I think this is going to be an absolute orgasm for the senses. And we're going to need to actually watch this film in IMAX, yeah. Because we watched Dune 1, like the first Dune Part 1, in just the Dover cinema, which doesn't have an IMAX. So we'll have to go to a different cinema, Neil, and see this in IMAX.
I'll book the tickets, man.
I have
double bill, hopefully.
I have a small little fun fact about Dune, the original, not the original, but the first one he made. The effects budget was actually less than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and it looks so much better. So he either A, gives the special effects artist more time, or B, knows how to put his budget into a movie.
Well, I think we've discussed this before, isn't it? When we say bad special effects, generally we don't mean they're bad. And there's a lot of effects people have said. It's not that, no, they're not bad effects. It's that we haven't been given enough time on them. And they've been rushed out before they're done. And I think the Marvel situation a lot of the time is a big example of that.
But I mean, it's also like he makes a wide landscape more interesting than like the Ant-Man wide landscape, you know? Like, how do you make a desert look interesting, you know?
Well, I mean, a lot of Dune was location shooting with
Oh, okay.
then the CGI elements added over the top of it afterwards. A lot of it was filmed out in Wadi Rum, wasn't it? Where all like the classic, desert-based films have been filmed over the years.
Okay.
I think another thing that Dune has in its back pocket is its cinematographer, Greg Fraser, because he did Dune Part 1. He then went and did The Batman, which looked amazing for a comic book film. Whatever you think about The Batman, it looks absolutely amazing.
That man, I mean, he's going to be up for another award. Sorry, like you said, like he'll get him everything. I think between this and Oppenheimer are going to be my two, if we're talking Oscar nominations for cinematography, sound design.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a real
Oppenheimer,
battle between these two.
In the tech categories, for sure, man, definitely. Well, this kind of ties in quite nicely, actually, because mentioning about films being in competition with each other, I think the next film on our list that we're going to talk about, one of the guys from Dune Part 2 is also the cinematographer of the next film we're talking about. Yeah, Greg Fraser. He's not just busy enough making Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, and Batman. He's also one of the camera guys, cinematographers on Garth Edwards' new film, The Creator. Now, this is a film that's kind of crept in under the radar. Although, actually, first of all, it should be noted that Fraser was co-cinematographer on this film with another guy called Oren Sofa because of COVID delays. So he was supposed to be the cinematographer on it, started like pre-production work on it and did remote work on it. But Oren Sofa was actually the guy who was doing a lot of the on-set stuff and then location stuff. And obviously with COVID delaying, so it was kind of like a weird co-cinematographer situation on there. But hey, he could be in competition with himself. You're going to have to create it up against Dune 2 for cinematography. So, written by Edwards himself and Chris Weitz. Anyone remember Chris Weitz? Used to be one of the Weitz brothers who did American Pie back in the day.
Way.
Same guy. Yeah, he's gone from dodgy, very badly aged comedies.
Oh man.
To
let's be honest, all the comedies from the 2000s era and even the 90s have aged poorly.
I mean, it's aged poorly if you're watching it from today's lens, but I fucking loved American Pie
at the time.
Yeah,
exactly. We just don't look at stuff through a modern lens and rate it on the same.
Like About a Boy, I'm just looking at. He did that as well. About a Boy is awesome as well. I love that.
The Creator is a big sci-fi action film set in a future war between a human race and the forces of AI. And John David Washington stars as Joshua, who is sent to hunt and kill the titular Creator, who is the architect of the advanced AI, which is plotting to end the war once and for all. Joshua ventures deep into the heart of AI territory, only to find his target is an AI in the form of a young child, which gives him pause to complete his mission. Now, like everyone, I was wowed by this trailer, and on a budget of only 85 million, this looks like a 200 million plus film. Indeed, the recently planned, kind of similar to your point here, actually, Jose, the recently planned The Flash had a budget north of 200 million, as did the absolutely terrible-looking Marvel show, Secret Invasion. What's more amazing about this film, it was shot on a Sony prosumer camera. Not like a big sort of regular... Yeah, it was shot on a Sony FX3. And I've read a few articles where the camera people and the industry people have been like, this can revolutionize how films are shot going forward. Like, it's going to bring the cost down. Just proving that if you can make a film look like that on non-professional high-end equipment, you can, like, the average person can go out, get that camera, rent it for a couple of weeks, and shoot something. Obviously, it'd be handy if you got Greg Fraser operating it, but it shows you that films, it could revolutionize how films are done in terms of quality, ambition, and budget.
What was the camera? Sorry,
it's a Sony FX3. Let us know how much that costs, David. Google away.
$4 grand, roughly. $3.5 grand.
$4 grand.
Very affordable comparatively.
That is a definite definition of the.
And it actually reminds me of the idea that when the Red camera was used for 28 Days Later. Did you know that was?
It's tiny as well. This camera.
Yeah, the fact that you can use that is great. Is amazing.
Well, the trailer was massively impressive, and as mentioned, getting one of the best cinematographers in the world, company Greg Fraser, is always going to make the film look superb. I mean, I love this trailer so much, man. It gave me vibes of Terminator 2, Spielberg's AI, even Avatar. I think what makes it for me is I felt more emotion from the characters and the acting in this brief trailer than I did in all 34 hours of Avatar 2. I think this is the first big sci-fi film that's ever been shot on location in Thailand, and you can really see that from the locations in the trailer. But you can already guess when you see the CGI breakdowns afterwards, and because there's so many shots of fields and mountains. I mean, Thailand, it's a beautiful country, and seeing that on screen instead of it all just being shot on a soundstage, actually going out to these locations and then dropping, like the spaceships over it, it just looks amazing to me. And of course, having Aerosmith's "Dream On" is a great choice in the trailer.
Yeah.
And the film, of course, has been scored by Hans Zimmer.
Automatic win.
Now, this is due out soon, quite soon, on the 29th of September. And I'm really hoping it finds its audience and gets the awards recognition and box office it deserves. But David,
I'm just not a
don't,
massive fan
do
of
you?
Gareth Edwards as a like. You know what you were saying? I know a bit controversial potentially, but you know what you were saying about Villeneuve or Nolan, where you see a film that's coming out by them, and you're like, oh, it's a Villeneuve film, we've got to go and see it. I kind of, even though he's only done 4 films, I kind of have the opposite with Edwards. I'm like, watch a trailer. Oh, this looks like a cool trailer. Oh, it's done by Gareth Edwards. A little bit, because
I don't think he's done enough
suppose,
to really establish his style in
I
that kind of way to even judge him in that way so far, to be fair, man. What are the 4 films?
Monsters,
Godzilla.
Rogue One, and then this, I think.
Oh, so this is his 4th film. Okay. I think you're being a bit
Yeah,
overly
I know.
harsh,
I
man.
probably am, but that's just how I feel. I can't help it, Neil. And I think this film's gonna. I think even with an 80 million budget, it will have to do pretty poorly to flop. And I think it's going to get close to flopping, mainly because it's not being marketed very well at all. Natasha, have you heard of a film by Gareth Edwards called The Creator? It's coming out later this year. No, she ain't heard of it. Ain't got a clue. So,
is she a good litmus test? Is she normally?
yeah.
Up to speed
as
on...
in like an average audience member.
Okay, true.
Right, but the film's not out till the end of September, and I guarantee you, they're not going to start really. I've only just because I go to cinemas, every week. They've just started playing the trailers for it every film.
I'll be honest though, I think he is kind of right. They're not really pushing it. They should have been pushing it a long time ago.
I think what I'm hoping is it comes out, as we know, we mentioned when he was talking off camera earlier, off pod earlier, that he seemed Edwards' films seem to be more critically acclaimed than actually making money at the box office, which you can absolutely agree is true. Yeah, I mean, if we hadn't had Rogue One, you definitely wouldn't have got Andor, which a lot of people think is one of the best.
There you go,
Star Wars,
yeah.
Not just the best Star Wars, it was one of the best shows of last year.
I forgot about that.
In fact, did I vote that for my favourite show of the year?
But do we have?
I think I may have.
Gareth. Is it Garth or Gareth?
Gareth.
Okay.
Gareth.
Okay. To thank for that, or do we have the writer? Do we have Chris Waits?
I think if the script wise, I guess it's its own thing, but just the visuals, it's just amazing. I think.
But again, how much of that did we put down to Greek Fraser? I mean, I think if anything, this illustrates how
collaborative,
getting a really good team together.
I've always heard Gareth Edwards is just great with scale, and that's why he was so good at Rogue One.
I think what we're seeing with the progression of his career is he can make a film look amazing on a cheap budget. And if you're a director who can do that, you're going to keep getting chances and chances and chances till you get that big hit. So I think behind the scenes, and I'm not denigrating his talent in any way, but I'm saying you need the right producer to find the right project for him, and then he's going to have a mega smash.
And I have to say,
because he's got the talent.
$85 million budget for a movie that looks like this, I wouldn't be surprised if it was going towards the Nolan aspect of shooting as much practical as possible. And I think we've mentioned it before, where there was a little bit of a controversy with the trailer, at the very least, using footage from a real life explosion.
Oh yeah, we and Jose talked about this on the previous podcast.
So they're probably trying to look for authenticity to really make it feel more visceral. So I think, if anything, I can only respect that. But David, you can go suck it.
No, what's this about an explosion? Is that in the trailer for The Creator? They use an actual explosion.
Yes, and an actual explosion from, I keep forgetting the name of the country, but it was something that was very big on social media, and they used one clip of 3 seconds of the real explosion. I saw a YouTube video of visual artists expanding on it, where they noticed it and they showed it being covered partially by special effects, but the explosion itself was real.
It might not be in the trailer you're watching, Dave, because there's been 2 different
I'm
trailers for this since it
watching
came
the
out.
first one. That's kind of fucked up if they used an actual explosion that people might have been hurt and killed from.
Yeah, and that's where a little controversy might come from, you know.
I mean, I hadn't heard of that at all until Jose mentioned it. So
I'm only taking Jose's word on
I'll
this.
be devil's
Jose's word is law.
Exactly. I'm going to play devil's advocate and just say, hey, don't trust everything you hear on YouTube.
No,
folks.
but we saw it. They showed the clips. I'll send you the link to the clips.
Neil's still a skeptic. You could tell by his face.
I'm still. Just call me Fox Mulder.
Oh, I believe. Except it's not the opposite.
Except it's not. Yeah. Right. So moving on, our next film we're going to talk about is a weird little film called Poor Things, directed by the favourite Yorgos Lanthimos, and starring the favourites Emma Stone, as well as Mark Ruffalo, William Dafoe, Rami Youssef, Margaret Qualley, and Gerard Carmichael. The story follows Bella, played by Emma Stone, a young Victorian woman who is cruelly brought back to life after her suicide by mad scientist Dr. Baxter, played by who else? Of course, it's William Dafoe. Unhappy with her station in life, she runs off with dodgy lawyer Duncan Wedderburn, played by Mark Ruffalo. This leads Bella to travel the world free from the prejudices of her time as she demands equality and liberation. Yes, I did read that from Wikipedia. Now, this looks as mad as a box of frogs, and it feels like a weird splice of a female Frankenstein and Forrest Gump with a bit of a Wes Anderson aesthetic to it. I mean, if you saw The Favourite, you at least have some kind of idea of what to expect, and the really, really strange, unusual visual style that Lanthimos uses. I mean, if you remember The Favourite, he loves a wide angle shot, and he'll just, there'll be lots of one-ers and long tracking shots, and he just doesn't like close-ups, man. The man does not like close-ups. You do it in a wide fisheye shot, then he's going to do it in that.
I saw this trailer a few weeks ago, at least, and it threw me. I'm like, what is going on here? But now reading the description, at least it kind of brings it back in a little, because it makes sense that Emma Stone plays a sort of Frankenstein bringing back to life kind of character, because that explains so much of it. Because otherwise you're like, what's going on?
So was you not aware of that when you watched the trailer? You was kind of like, what?
I was not. I think I was in the space of a regular viewer where I'm like, this is just weird. It's still interesting. And I think the way that it ends with Mark Ruffalo being slapped and then he just waits a second and be like, oh. It's you realize, okay, it's kind of not taking itself seriously. So maybe shift your expectations in that way. But it's even weirder. But now it explains the whole situation with Emma Stone. Yeah, it's so weird.
I mean, this trailer has everything, man. You got crazy William Dafoe with prosthetics, crazy dancing from Emma Stone, amazing sci-fi vistas that completely dumbfounded me. Mark Ruffalo getting slapped, as we've already mentioned. And of course, what looks like a cruise ship. So 10 out of 10, all the Oscars, right? She definitely looks like she's on a cruise ship.
It's like a cruise ship on acid.
Yeah.
It looks fucking bonkers, this film. I want some of the animals as well. I want like some of these crazy Frankenstein animals. Like the duck cat. The duck cat looks so cute. I want it. No, it's like a duck puppy. I don't know what it is. I want it.
I think you have a different trailer than because I didn't remember seeing any animals.
I don't remember the animals. Are you sure you're not watching the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer?
It's like an animal, but it's got a duck head.
There was ducks in it. I don't remember that.
It's like a goose head, maybe not a duck.
They're his previous experiments, aren't they?
They're just like random Frankenstein animals. Like let's sew a frog's legs onto a chicken, that sort of thing.
Or put a rabbit on a spider.
That's it. There you go.
That was disturbing, man.
That was not for movie. That Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was more animatronic though, not like it wasn't actual spider's legs.
Which is what? Oh, so they did this with a real duck and goose. Is what you're saying? And a real duck and puppy.
It's not like animatronics.
The budget wasn't as big as Marvel. Yeah, look, this is going to definitely be a hit with the art house crowd, and maybe you get some awards thrown at it, because it seems pretty much whatever Lanthimos makes, he gets awards nominated for. But I really can't see this doing big business at the box office. But do you know what? I definitely want to see this based on this absolutely batshit crazy trailer.
It's funny because I think it's going to go in the same direction, ironically, as the Lighthouse, and I say ironically because Defoe was in that as well. It's going to create some stir, going to be interesting, but I don't think we'll hear about it maybe 6 months from now from the general audience.
He's making quite a thing of doing that, isn't he? He's like, I remember he in The Northman as well, wasn't he? He pops up in that, and another
I
Robert
feel he
Eggers
doesn't
one.
just do
and,
normal
yeah.
stuff, does he? Like a normal, what you
No.
consider just like a normal film. Like,
William Dafoe playing the dad in a rom-com, there. That's what I want to see one day. Just a bit of range. I mean,
just a bit of range from William.
Yes,
Yeah.
because William Dafoe has no
He's
range.
got no range at all. Yeah, what a
that was
loser! Can't
clearly
play
a
him.
joke.
I know.
Loose. Right. Well, next up, we're going to look at, as much as we can, because we don't really know much about this at all yet, a film called The Killer. And we haven't seen the trailer yet. And although it is scheduled currently for its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, which who knows if that's all going ahead still, on September the 3rd. But it's Netflix, so is it TV? Is it a movie? Who knows? No one does at the minute. They're clearly going to make it up as it goes along. But it's Netflix's new psychological action thriller, The Killer. And let's be honest, if we've watched any Netflix original action movies in this last year, they've been pretty shocking, right? I've not even bothered with some of the last ones. Heart of Stone, get in the bin. Gal Gadot in a... No, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be nasty. She's a very attractive lady, but she cannot act her way out of a paper bag.
Let's just be
I
nice.
think you're a bit hard to her.
I think she turned him down when he asked for her
She must.
autograph.
I feel like
that's clearly what it was.
Been rejected by her one too many times.
Like, you really should stop showing up at her home. That's never good.
But why should we care about another generic-sounding action film? Well, this one's directed by David Fincher and written by Andrew Kevin Walker, and it's the first time they've worked together since a little film, a real happy, upbeat film with a great happy ending called Seven.
Ooh.
And it stars Michael Fassbender as a titular character, an assassin known as The Killer.
An assassin known as The Killer. Very original.
He said it!
The look of pure joy on David's face, if you could see it right now, folks. That was just the scripting, perfect script. And that's why we script David.
Moments like that.
Moments of gold like that. The film also stars Charles Parnell, Arliss Howard, and Tilda Swinton. Now, it's based upon a French graphic novel series of the same name, but as mentioned, a new Fincher film is basically cause for celebration because he rarely misses. And again, I'm not sure what the cinema release plan for this is going to be, with it being an action film and Netflix. And I don't generally think there's going to be many awards in this film's future or box office, because I don't even think it's going to get that wide a release. It's going to be interesting because Netflix, when they think a film is going to have awards, they release it in the cinemas. But an action film about an assassin, it's not really Oscar fare, is it? Even if it has got Fassbender in it. But then again, it's Fincher's first film for Netflix, so I don't know if they're going to try and push out the boat and see how well it does. It's be interesting to see. We also don't even know when it's coming out. Like I'm going to guess to say November.
I can almost guarantee this won't come out this year. What do we think? Do we think this is actually going to come out?
What do you know, David? What do you know? Who do you know?
That's the point. I don't think it's going to come out this year.
I got to say, a lot of November, December releases, I think, there is a very good chance that at least half of them get pushed back for one reason or another.
But that's for cinema releases. This is a streaming release first, right? This is a Netflix film.
So are you saying it'll just go straight to streaming?
I think it'll get released in enough cinemas so that it can get awards nomination or make some of its money back. Because I don't think they generally would do that for a film like this. But because it's Fincher, I think Netflix is probably in his deal, right? No, you release my film in a fucking cinema.
I think that maybe not award-wise, but I think it might surprise us. Even with the premise, kind of like I made fun of the assassin known as a killer idea. But think about John Wick. It's a guy whose puppy gets killed and he decides to go on a bender. It's like, I think with these credentials, that has a potential to actually surprise us, if anything. Michael Fassbender, I don't believe he has very many flops or bad movies at all.
Assassin's Creed would like to say hello.
There you go. Good call there. Yeah, good call.
you were quick on that.
Yeah, you was quick on that. It's almost like you had it prepared. Is that in the script? Let me check.
No,
it's not in the script.
No, it is not.
All right, so my argument's out the window. I feel like with David Fincher, there's a better chance this will be a good movie.
Well, he doesn't make bad movies.
This is where someone needs to come up with a bad movie he's done.
The bad movie of Fincher's. And go. Nope. Sorry, can't do it.
Hang on. I'm going to have to...
Like, most people will probably say Panic Room.
That's actually pretty good.
Nah,
it wasn't...
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's like, off the top of my head, that was a film I thought, Zodiac, masterpiece.
The Game, I think,
Fight
is
Club,
underrated.
Seven. No, The Game,
No, I'm just saying it's underrated
and
people forget about it.
Oh,
Alien 3,
Alien
that's
3,
the first
but
film
technically
you've done,
Oh.
though, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
that has a story all its own.
Oh, we know, but we don't. That'll be a separate podcast.
Oh, I know,
okay?
I know. Oh, I wasn't going to go into it, but yeah.
I'm sure our esteemed listeners know all about the history of Alien 3. And if you don't, we'll tell you
Hey,
sometime.
tweet,
But not
give us
today.
a tweet or a thread.
Actually, no, I've just thought of a David Fincher film that wasn't that great. I thought
Which
of
one?
it. I've got it. The Curious Case
No,
of
I like
Benjamin.
Oh
that.
no, I'm going to hurt
That's a
you.
good film, mate. I love
I
that.
love that film.
I would have said Gone Girl, actually, the one I just mentioned, as one.
You don't like
I-
Gone Girl?
I liked Gone Girl, but if
You're a monster.
because he has got a bar. He's got a very high
Yeah.
bar, so if anything, Gone Girl was like on the bar, whereas a lot of films are like, ooh, over it. You know?
Would you say it's more just
Over
like
the bar.
the subject matter wasn't interesting to you, or
I think it's more just the
very
length
well
of
made?
it. It's like a fucking long ass film. That
No,
and
it just
it's-
did look
yeah,
creepy.
and it's a lot.
Yeah.
But the ending of it, I loved, like where she just starts spoilers, throwing herself against shit, and very manipulative. Anyway, she has a moment where it's like all revealed. It's pretty
Yes.
cool. And then the ending was very like, oh, okay, that's how it's going to end.
I could just
Anyway.
bash your head in. That's the movie. That's
Wow,
that's the
okay.
movie. Not me saying that's David.
He
Isn't
says
it
that
right?
to me all the time, though. So just
The next film we're going to talk about definitely isn't going to have split opinions and have people burning down the internet at all.
Oh
Because that film's The Marvels.
yes, everyone loves the Marvels.
Now, everyone loves The Marvels and all the actresses in it. Because men don't have problems with actresses, apparently, at all
Yeah.
these days. So, yeah, it's been a rough old year for Marvel, with most of their projects having a middling to, well, shit reception. Ant-Man Quantumania, and I'm not calling it And the Wasp because Evangeline Lilly was a haircut and not a character. Was not well reviewed, with some very, very questionable CGI. And the Secret Invasion TV show is now pretty much widely regarded as the worst of all the Disney Plus shows. And it was just horrible. We're going to get onto this at some point. Maybe when we do a roundup of what we've been watching podcast soon, I will just unleash the hate for my Secret Invasion. But it's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. It's terrible. It's the worst thing. It hurt my eyes. It hurt my brain. It should be booted into the Phantom Zone in one of those spinning discs and then vaporized. That's how bad the show was.
to the shadow.
But however, there was one bright spot in the MCU this year, and one film that was very well received, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, despite the obvious CGI animal torture. You monsters. But that was James Gunn's swan song to the MCU before he's off as the new Uber honcho of the rebooted DCU. And that leaves us with only one more MCU adventure at the cinemas this year, which is Nia DaCosta's The Marvels, which is a trio team-up film featuring Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Tiona Paris's Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, and Iman Vellani's Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. Now, the basic plot is that while investigating a wormhole linked to the Kree, those dodgy Kree, man, it's them again, Monica Rambeau's powers become linked to Danvers and Khan's, meaning each time they use their powers, they swap locations. You've got Zawe Ashton on for villain duties as Dar-Ben, not the most thrilling name for a villain. Dar-Ben. When we get Ben Lord back on the podcast next time, I'm definitely going to call him Dar-Ben from now on. And she is a Kree warrior trying to restore her homeland after a civil war, which really doesn't sound like a full-on villain's role here, does it?
I don't.
It sounds like
I haven't seen Secret Invasion, and the only Krills. What are they called? Fucking
Kree. Well,
that
no,
we've had access to is in. Were they in Thor?
that was Lee Pace. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And then
I feel like
Ronan
the
the
whole
Accuser
Kree thing
is
has just
a
not
Kree.
been very well explained to audiences.
very correct.
Do you know what? What I think is going to happen with all the stuff from Secret Invasion, like a lot of the Marvel post-credit scenes recently, they're just going to forget about them and hope no one remembers. I literally think, look, when we get to the Marvels, and we're like, oh, Samuel Jackson, because I'm still not sure when this film takes place. Because if it's got Miss Marvel in it, that means it needs to be quite recent.
Mm-hmm.
It also needs to be set after the events of Doctor Strange and WandaVision. But I don't know if it's taken place before the events of Secret Invasion. But Secret Invasion's that bad. I think we just set it on fire and bury it. Samuel L. Jackson is back as Nick Fury. And like most of us, he's probably hoping we all ignore the events of Secret Invasion completely as well. Now, look, the trailer for this looks really fun. And I think it's actually going to be a real breakout for Vellani because she was consistently excellent as Kamala Khan in the Miss Marvel TV show. And also, there is a great use of the Beastie Boys Intergalactic in this trailer. And also, you have the promise of an army of Flurkings. If that isn't enough to get you into the cinema...
I think if at the very least it's going to be a fun movie. It just looks like they had a good time. And again, I think Iman Vellani's role, like in the trailer even, it just looks like she's enjoying herself and just going all in with her character.
I think because Captain Marvel had to play it so kind of
Mhm.
straight in her original film, I think here you're gonna, because Brie Larson's got comedy chops, man. She's really funny. I remember when she was in Community.
Yeah, yeah,
She can be good, man. She can be really good. And I think by taking the pressure off her shoulders as much, like the Marvels, it's not like Captain Marvel 2. So it's not all the articles are going to be about, oh, this film's failed because Brie Larson,
Yeah.
all that bollocks like we had on the first film. Captain Marvel 1 was perfectly enjoyable. I
Yeah.
thought it was fine. I had
Honestly,
no
I think-
problems with it. My only problem with it, and which I remember now actually, is a line when she says, when someone says, grunge is a good look, when she's wearing a Nine Inch Nails shirt. And I'm sorry, but Nine Inch Nails are an industrial metal band.
He's very
not a
passionate about
grunge
this,
band.
Jose. He like when we reviewed it, he went on a whole
How
spiel.
dare they?
I know.
That was maybe 15 minutes of review. Just definitions of grunge music.
I think that a lot of it is not Brie Larson's fault in terms of all the negativity she received. I think it was the character.
No, it's the internet.
Honestly, it's like her character probably had to be a certain way for the movie to work, and Brie Larson, just being as good as she is, played the character right. Honestly,
And also, don't forget, she made Captain Marvel in between her first appearance, which had already been filmed for the Avengers film. So again, you've got different directors who having a different idea, like the hairstyle was different, like how she acted was different, and all that. So yeah, it kind of, I can totally see how, I think having a clear vision on this one. Look, I don't think this is going to be winning any awards either, and there is the whiff of the by now standard CGI fuck-a-thon ending that Marvel tends to do. But I think the tone and charisma of the main three leads in this are going to make this a genuinely fun time at the cinema. So I'm going to go, my prediction, I'm going to say it's going to make over 500 million. It's going to around 600 million. I'm going to go for this because I reckon if it lives up to a good word of mouth with all Marvel projects going forward now, word of mouth is key over good reviews and like fancy trailers. I think not it needs to have legs now. It's not like you look at the cliff Quantumania dropped off after its first week, and all the recent superhero films.
So Quantumania made under 500 million. So you reckon this will make over?
Yeah, but that was panned.
My issue with it, is I just don't care about any Marvel project at all at the moment. There's just nothing. There's no I have more. I care. I'd argue, and this is very thin argument, I have to admit, that the DCU is in a better place right now than the MCU because there's optimism in it. People are optimistic about the DCU at the moment, whereas there is no optimism with the MCU.
As we record this, it's a Thursday, and I'm going to see, and Blue Beetle comes out tomorrow. And I was like, well, Strays or Blue Beetle. I'm not, the trailers didn't
Strays
impress me
looks
until
fucking awful.
So,
I mean,
well,
have you seen Sausage Party? It's fucking shit. Like, why it looks the same thing?
Anyway, come on. If you haven't got like dogs with human voices saying about biting dicks off, you know it's going to be an easy time in the cinema. But I was just like, DC, I looked at the trailers for that and I was like, this looks really pants. But advanced reviews, like you haven't had full reviews yet, but like some of the advanced things, and actually, it's not great. It's not going to like revolutionize the superhero genre. But what it does do differently, it brings his whole family along with him when he gets his superpowers, and almost every character in the film is Mexican or Mexican American. And so they said, actually, do you know what? And it plays up the family really well in it. And they said the charisma and the family side of it is actually what makes it work. So I was like, okay, do you know what? That sold me. So I'm going to go and see that tomorrow night. So I've lowered expectations. I'm expecting it to be perfectly fine and with good acting. And hey, it's got your boy Jolo from Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, man. Everyone loves Cobra Kai. So
I think who's the guy who's the older Spanish dude? I'm completely blanking. George Lopez. I think he had some good experience to the cast, like in terms of at least some comedy.
Susan Sarandon's playing the villain.
Yeah, I think George Lopez brings a lot of good experience to the cast. He's a funny character actor, and I think it'll add to the movie.
Well, that was a brief bit on Blue Beetle that we actually wasn't going to talk about, but we did. So there you go. Yeah. So next up, though, we're going to go to a film that has the word, next in the title. Next Goal Wins, which is Taika Waititi's next small film before whatever ridiculous, massive budget Disney Marvel project he does next. But hey, you know what? If it's as good as his last small film, Jojo Rabbit, he might just have another Oscar to polish. Although probably not, because this is a film about football, not soccer.
Soccer. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to learn to say football.
Yeah, learn to say it better.
Football. I mean, I saw the trailer. It looks fun. It's a fun little sports movie, honestly.
I mean, if you want to spoil the film for yourself, there's actually a documentary out already that the film
no
is based
way.
on with the same name. Yeah, so there's a documentary that was made on the real story of the American Samoa football team who become infamous for losing 31-0 in 2001 to Australia.
I mean, shall we
so
put
the
31
team
0 into
hired-
perspective for Jose? Because I feel like Jose doesn't know football
Oh,
slash
okay.
soccer. Do you
No,
know
that's-
football slash soccer,
Right.
soccer like enough to
I know-
realize
I
how big of
know-
a drubbing that is?
In the history, since 1992 in England, in the history of our top division of football, no team's even scored 20 goals, let alone 31 goals in a game.
Well, the worst defeat's 9-0 in
Yeah.
the Premier League. The
This
worst
is
ever
31-0.
defeat in 31 years is 9-0. And that was like a fucking drubbing. You know, everyone's like, that's a laughing. Liverpool beat Man United 7-0 last year, didn't they? And that was a fucking
Wow.
laughing stock, wasn't it?
Had to get that one in, didn't you, David?
Just
Had
to
get that
throw
one
that out
Well,
there.
wasn't there a game recently somewhere out there that I heard like one guy, a couple guys averaged about five goals a pop, like maybe a couple weeks ago, like somewhere out in one of the leagues.
Not.
I'm gonna get
Are you on
back to
about
you on that.
Messi? Are you on about Messi scoring 6 in a row out in the MLS for Inter Miami?
Count. That doesn't count. It was in Europe or somewhere in your area of the world.
Or somewhere in the South Pacific Basin.
But anyway, 31-0 is an absolute dick.
Anyway,
it's like they're not even on the pitch, honestly.
It's like, are you practicing your goals with no goalie? That's really what
kind
it
of
is.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a horrible score even for American football to lose 31-0.
There you go. Perfect example, yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So what happened was the American Samoan football team, they hired a down on his luck American Dutch coach called Thomas Rongen, which is a brilliant name for any character. Rongen. And he's played by the killer himself, Michael Fassbender, to try and turn around the team's fortunes. The film also stars Elizabeth Moss, Will Arnett, and Rhys Darby, as well as a full cast of Aussie and Kiwi actors making up the rest of the team. Now, again, I'm not sure if this film's going to have such a wide appeal, despite using ABBA in the trailer, which was a very smart move, because on paper it looks like just your standard by-the-numbers underdog sports comedy. And as great and as much as Taika Waititi's smaller films have been, like Hunt for the Wilder People, like Jojo Rabbit, like Boy, like Eagle vs. Shark, I don't think this is going to have the same wide appeal. So I think people are going to see, it's a football comedy, not interested.
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, honestly, because Fassbender is a big draw. And
never done a bad film.
We can through this, David. Assassin's Creed.
But I think that ever since Jojo Rabbit, I think people have been on the radar a little bit more with Taika Waititi. There's going to be some appeal to this for people to check in and see what it's about.
I think, David, you're going to agree with me here when I say this is definitely going to be better than For Love and
Yeah,
Thunder.
I feel like the Taika love's fallen a little bit since. I feel like his brand has dipped since that film. But I'm quite looking forward to this, and I agree with both of you, Neil, in saying that you feel like it's not going to get a massive audience because it's football related, and that's already sort of lost an American audience who doesn't really care about football.
That's fair.
But at the same time, it's Taika. So, and his comedy and his smaller films, like you're saying, are good.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So, I agree.
Next up, while most 85-year-olds are happily retired, the next man we're going to be talking about is currently smack bang in the middle of making Gladiator 2. And yet somehow, being 85, coming out of the pandemic, doing The Last Duel, and then doing Gladiator 2, he somehow has found the time to make a Napoleon film for Apple in between as well. Yes, few do historical epic drama as well as Sir Ridley Scott. And I doubt this will be an exception. Indeed, his last film, The Last Duel, was criminally underrated in terms of critical acclaim and box office. And it was one of Ben Affleck's best performances in years.
I thought he did The House of Gucci. Yeah.
Shit, he did that as well, didn't he? I haven't seen that though because I was like, no. Got absolutely no interest in that story.
I didn't realise Ridley Scott was so old. How old did you say he was?
Yeah, man.
85. Fucking hell, yeah.
He's
if I'm doing that at 85, I'll be pretty fucking happy. I'll probably be dead.
Mate, 85, they're just going to be... If you was directing 85, you'd just be permanently sat on a massive bedpan.
that's
I want
sadly
to
true.
circle back a little bit to your Jodie Comer comment. I think she's been rising pretty steadily.
I just
mostly
mean I think she was known very well because of Killing Eve, but then
Correct.
Free Guy was pretty pants. And
hey, come on.
it was.
Free Guy,
It was.
I
Free Guy was
enjoyed Free
fun.
Guy as well, Jose. I'm with you.
Free Guy.
Yeah.
Okay, Free Guy is a 3-star, perfectly fine film in the middle.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna leave it at that because we still have a lot to talk about.
Well, having said that, Jodie Comer was originally cast as Empress Josephine in this film. And what was going to be interesting was, because obviously she was in The Last Duel, and again, she gave an Oscar-worthy performance in that, and I don't think even got nominated. No one, just go and watch The Last Duel, people. It's really, really fucking good.
Yes, please do.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and it's better than Air. It's a lot better. I mean, Air was perfectly fine. I'm not slacking off Air. Good God, it sounds like I'm slacking off Air.
Yes.
Hey, if you're not fussed, if you don't care about basketball or trainers, then Air's probably not going to do that much for you. But
Yeah,
this film, that film, not this film, the one we're talking about. Good God, it's got a mess.
that's why they listen, Neil.
What is
That's
happening
why
here?
they.
Neil's having a breakdown live on air.
Why? How did we even start talking about her? Because she's not in. Yeah, but she's not in the. Yeah, but she's
Jodie
not in
Comer.
this film. In Napoleon.
No, but she was originally cast in
Okay,
this
so
film.
who's been cast
And
in
then
her
because
place?
of
Neil?
COVID-
Let's get to that point.
For Mission Impossible, the White Widow herself, Vanessa Kirby.
Who's fucking fantastic in The Crown as well. That should be said.
Oh yeah,
She's fucking fantastic in the new Mission Impossible
She's
as well,
very-
actually,
yeah,
to
I'm
be
a big-
fair.
I'm a fan.
honestly, and she might be fantastic in the Fantastic Four.
Oh, rumour.
I like
yes.
it. I like it, Jose.
Rumor.
That very, very good. I was going to say segue. That's not the word. Anyway, Napoleon stars Joaquin Phoenix as the titular emperor, and I've used the word titular way too many times today. The dude whose name it is, and the film charts his rise to power through the lens of his volatile relationship with Empress Josephine, played by, as we just said, Vanessa Kirby. Now, the trailer has everything you'd expect from a Scott film: epic war, cannons being fired at people, bloody slaughter. And a choice has been made that everyone seems to be speaking in pronounced English than rather with a French accent, which I think is the right choice, let's be honest. There's sea battles, there's more cannons being fired, and I mean, why are you shooting a cannon at a pyramid, Ridley? Why? But hey, I guess the film will tell us. Look, this looks like a best of reel for Ridley Scott, political intrigue and relationship machinations between Phoenix and Kirby. And it looks like, as they said, their relationship is going to be the prism for the film's story. I love the end trailer reveal with that ice trap.
Yeah, that was actually really good.
Joaquin Phoenix, he worked with Scott years and years ago in Gladiator, right? So
Sorry, I read somewhere, I know some article that said that he wanted Joaquin to be in this film to play Napoleon because of what he'd seen him in Joker, and I was like, what? Did he just
But you were
forget that they
Gladiator.
played that it was a Gladiator? Like, is it Commodus he plays in Gladiator? Yeah, did he forget that
he's
he
the
played
main villain,
Commodus?
isn't he?
He
does this.
He's the fun
People
man.
can't see because
yeah.
it's video, but he's the thumb down guy.
It's like, oh, he can still act.
Yeah,
What a
like-
surprise!
After
Oh,
all
didn't he-
these years, I forgot all about.
He is 85, David. If you remember every film you've made at
Fair
85.
enough, Neil.
Again, though, with this film, it's being made for Apple. So again, I'm
Hmm.
not quite sure how wide its cinema release is going to be. Having said that, I mean, look at Apple, man. They've got this and Killers of the Flower Moon under there. So Scorsese and Scott.
And amazing
films.
TV shows as well. Like Apple are killing it.
Yes,
We have talked a lot about how great me and Jose just done a whole episode talking about how great Apple shows are at the minute, man.
Mhm.
Which we'll do some other time, David. When you've
Well,
caught
when
up
I
on them all.
actually
Yes.
decide to get the subscription again,
Yes.
I might wait until like the second season
Severance.
of Severance. Thank you very much.
Oh, Severance. Okay, yeah.
Which was our show of the year before, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh
I believe it
wow,
was.
I should catch it then.
Oh, it's
You know-
superb, Jose. Yes. I was going to say you've got a bit of a wonky eye there, and that brings us on to our next film.
Hey,
Segue. We have Wonka, a prequel about the early days. Fucking hell! I've written titular chocolate maker again. I
You
need a
just
new
like
word,
the
guys.
word, man. You
We need-
like titular.
I like the word titular.
Yeah.
Apparently,
we need to give Neil a
What's
the
the
book with
definition
words
of
that
titular?
are
the book with the words.
What's the
in it.
definition of titular?
book with the
I'll
words in
Google
it.
different words for it.
So yeah, we have Wonka, a prequel about the early days of the chocolate maker, played by Timothée Chalamet. And let's be honest, who really wanted this film? Not me for one. But as my friend Nick from The Office said, if you're going to do a young Gene Wilder, then surely you have to cast Jose
the Bears. Jeremy Allen
White.
White.
Carmy from The Bear Man. He looks like a young Gene Wilder so
Actually,
much.
yeah, that would have been epic. But does he want to do something like this?
Also, I don't think the energy is quite there, is he? He's like
No,
a bit
not
more
at
of an
all.
intense
But that's
energy. But I digress. However, once it was announced that Wonka was being written by Ghost's Simon Farnaby and co-written and directed by Paddington's Paul King, I think everyone's interest was piqued a little bit more, especially as King declined making Paddington 3, which I believe is punishable by execution in England because of how well loved those films are over here.
Is
To make
Paddington
this-
not well loved in America?
Oh, it's well loved
Okay.
everywhere, but because he's English, it's he can be murdered over here because of not
Okay.
making it. Not that I'm advocating the murder of. This has gone
You want
so
to
badly
murder
wrong already.
bears? Paddington.
No,
Oh,
directors.
okay. That's okay then.
it's really not. We're definitely not encouraging the murder of threat.
keep everyone alive, people.
Keep everyone alive. So look, this stars a who's who of British acting talent. We got Matt Lucas, we got Sally Hawkins, Judith. She jumped over from Paddington 3 to Wonka, and now apparently is not in Paddington 3. No, we can't.
Oh.
No, she remains alive as well. But if someone that didn't need to be, I'm just saying.
Oh, wow.
Rowan Atkinson's in it. Her Majesty, Olivia Colman, and Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. You've also got Keegan-Michael Key and relative newcomer Calais Land as Noodle, who from the trailer seems to be Wonka's closest friend. Now, I think the advertising on this film has been spot on. From the director of Paddington and the producers of Harry Potter, it's absolutely the right tack for this, because this film feels like an exact amalgamation of those two IPs. I like how the trailer sets up the villains of the film, the Chocolate Cartel.
The Chocolate Cartel.
The Chocolate Cartel. It just sounds cool, man. And they almost look like Scorsese gangster style characters. This is like the kids' version of Gangs in New York, really, isn't it? And the line the copper says, "Nothing to see here, just some people defying the laws of gravity." That actually made me laugh out. You got wild giraffes, and it's just got the feel of a big family Christmas film. So I'm predicting big box office for this one at the Christmas. Awards wise, I think we'll wait and see. But also, we have yet to hear any of the song and dance numbers from this
I
film
don't know.
yet.
We see
And
that
we know
little
there's
bit
gonna
of
be
that little bit of the Oompa Loompa at the end with Hugh Grant. He's
Starts
there,
blowing
like,
his flute.
Can't stop.
He can't stop once
once
he
it's
stops.
started.
Can't stop.
I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised by Hugh Grant and his choice of characters lately.
I'm a big fan. I quite like Hugh Grant. I don't know.
Him personally, no, me neither.
Yeah, or like, what's his? I don't know his stance on lots of things, but I don't know if I like him. But I like him in media, like in TV and in films.
I like Hugh Grant in
Well,
media.
you know what I mean? Because
Jesus
like
Christ.
I can like actors, but I think they're absolute dirtbags in real life. But I like them as actors, you know. So, but I don't know.
We don't mention him. We don't mention that time he got
You
arrested.
know what I
in the
mean? I don't know
States.
I don't know if he's really right wing, for instance. I don't fucking know.
But if anything, I think it's a little fun to know that he was also a villain in one of the Paddington movies. Yeah, and I think that really shows you how fun he's been playing his characters for a while
He's
now.
been in a lot of Guy
Floppy
Ritchie films
Hugh
recently
Grant,
as well,
yeah.
hasn't he?
It was in Dungeons and Dragons.
He was brilliant
was.
in Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. I don't want to see you die, so I'm going to look over here.
Yeah, I think comparatively, when his early career, he was just that fumbling, lovable
Everyone
goof.
loved
But now
Floppy
he was
Hugh
younger.
Grant. Everyone loved
Floppy Hugh Grant.
I think there's only so much you can take of floppy Hugh Grant, but he's
That's what she said.
But I think his transition to what he's been doing in the last probably decade, honestly,
He's character
has been
actor
great.
now, isn't he? He's
great.
gone from romantic lead to I turn up for a bit of the film and steal it by being really dastardly. And
Yeah,
that's
and
it. He's doing well,
charismatic,
man.
honestly. In a
He's
way.
in one of my favourite films of all time, which is Notting Hill. Just saying, I like that film. Fucking love that film.
Ooh,
Underrated. That was
rom-com. Prime Floppy Grant,
favorite
wasn't it?
rom-com, Notting Hill.
I have to say that is not underrated. Everyone enjoys
Oh,
that
yeah,
movie.
is it fun in America? Is it cool in America? That
I think so. It's just not
was
as
it
well
massive in
known.
America? Was it? I don't know. I'm not
But
American.
At the time, it was because I'm just a girl in front of
Yeah,
a
that's
boy.
it.
Something. Yeah,
Asking him to love it.
people know that quote.
Asking him to love it.
Tenuous Link, Wonka is due to come out at Christmas, and our next film, yes, Tenuous Link, is going to be Netflix's Christmas offering, which after the last couple of years, Netflix, they need to do better, because the year before it was Knives Out 2, which I think we all agree, wasn't as good as the
I
first
enjoyed
one.
it as well, yeah.
It wasn't,
It
but
was
it was
good.
still good. It was good.
Not really a Christmas film, though, is it? Doesn't
Well,
scream
neither does
Christmas,
this film.
murder.
No, not at all.
Well, neither does this
No.
film. But the year before, we had Don't Look Up, which, again,
Ooh.
everyone's going to die, giant meteor.
Was that 2
Yeah, let's all
years
watch that on
ago?
Christmas Eve. That was cheap.
Wow.
That was 2 years ago, yeah.
Doesn't feel like that long ago.
Although it does involve, was it naked Meryl Streep getting eaten by a dinosaur in the end credits? So that was something.
Wow, didn't watch that part, but
No, probably we didn't get to the end of it. But yes, Netflix's new Christmas offering is Zack Snyder's new film, Rebel Moon, which, if rumor and legend is to be believed, started out as his pitch for a Star Wars film. And well, according to Snyder, that part is actually true, as he intended the film to be a more adult spin off from George Lucas's universe. However, when the Disney deal happened a few years back, he retooled the idea, kept it on the back burner, and eventually it ended up at Netflix. Now, since the whole Snyderverse debacle, I think Snyder's been pretty happy at Netflix, you know? He got pretty good acclaim for his Army of the Dead film. And although we are still yet to see a trailer from this film, or if we really know what the story is going to be about, well, I can tell you guys, because I had a quick Google, and if this information is correct, the following premise on the film's Wikipedia, well, hold your breath.
I'm so glad we did that at the same time.
In a universe controlled by the corrupt government of the Mother World. He likes his mother stuff, mother boxes. That was in the Batman Superman. The moon of Veld is threatened by the forces of the Imperium. The army of the Mother World, controlled by Regent Balisarius. Cora, a former member of the Imperium, seeks redemption for her past in the leadership of the oppressive government, tasks herself to recruit warriors from across the galaxy to make a stand against the Mother World's forces before they return to the planet. You can breathe again, guys.
I didn't know when you were done. I was like, you took so fucking long.
I know. When I saw you actually holding your breath, I was like, I'm going to milk this and see how long you can hold your breath. You got a little bit purple, man. A little bit purple. So Cora is played by Sofia Boutella. Judging from what I've heard, it's a little bit like a sci-fi Magnificent Seven idea, as she goes around recruiting warriors to fight alongside her. And you actors such as from Shazam, Digimon Hunsao. You got Charlie Hunnam, you got Michael Huisman, Ray Fisher, Cyborg, Justice for Cyborg, and Jenna Malone, and the voice of Anthony Hopkins. Now, looking at some of these character names and descriptions, it's pretty fucking wild, man. You've got Hamada, who was a spider warrior. You got Devra Bloodaxe. You've got Nemesis, a cyborg swordmaster, and Tarek, a blacksmith, who can bond with and rally animals in battle. Okay, now this film, admittedly, from these bits that we've read out here, it does have the whiff of a very strong fromage around it. Hey, look, I love an epic sci-fi actioner as much as the next guy, but Snyder is very hit and miss for me. I love his Dawn of the Dead, which was written by James Gunn. Watchmen is superb. 300's a lot of fun. However, after that, he made his first truly original film, which was Sucker Punch.
I'm going to have to argue on this. What
you like Sucker Punch? Really?
I love Sucker Punch.
You love Sucker Punch?
I love Sucker Punch.
I haven't seen Sucker Punch, so I can't comment.
He hasn't seen it.
You haven't seen Sucker
I've
Punch?
Never seen it, no.
It's got Emily Browning, Jenna Malone.
School girl that goes around like with
yeah.
Yes.
John Hamm's in it. John Hamm's in it as a villain.
You know what?
No,
I might have
he's
seen
in
it. I might have seen it. I just can't really remember it.
Because it was bad, David.
No, it was not. We're going to agree to disagree, or I might have to fly to England to hurt you.
Watch it again.
Physically, in person.
Getting back to Sucker Punch before Jose threatens to travel transatlantically and commit violence, I was going to say, look, it had a superb cast. It looked amazing. It was just a flawed mess of the film. But at least it was unfettered Snyder, right? And I think the problem he's had since with all the DC stuff is he's had so many Uberlords over him saying, well, you need to do this. Oh, we have to have this in it. You have to have this, has to tie into that. And honestly, we said this a few times. Fuck off with all this Snyderverse bullshit. He doesn't want to do it himself anymore. He's probably really happy over at Netflix doing whatever the fuck he wants. Give me loads of money and let me make films. Great. That's what any filmmaker wants. And for me, like I say, I'm kind of tied with Snyder because he's only done 2 original films. One is Sucker Punch, which I thought was bollocks. But I also really enjoyed Army of the Dead. So I think it's a coin flip here on which way this is going to go, especially until we see a trailer.
I'm sad that you didn't like... I mean, the Dawn of the Dead's the first film of his that I've watched. I think it's the first film we did, actually, isn't it?
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
I really like that Dawn of the Dead. It's not as good as the original.
Well, no, but what is?
It's a good film, yeah. And then I really like Watchmen as well, even though a lot of people hate on that.
Yeah.
I've not seen Sucker Punch, so I can't comment. 300's amazing. I really like Man of Steel as well, and I'm actually not... I don't hate Batman vs. Superman as well, even though a lot of people do.
I don't hate... I think the director's cut was better than the original version.
The Ultimate Edition.
And I think that's true with all this stuff.
I personally think he's better when it's original IP. He's good as a filmmaker, but he doesn't respect backstory. That's why a lot of people, I feel like, were very upset with Superman, Batman versus Superman, and like it's like, if you don't know the backstory of like all these comic book characters, yeah, these films are actually honestly really fun. But it's tough to watch when you know what's going on and what the comics lie. And I think that's why a lot of people were not fans of Watchmen. But I went into Watchmen not knowing anything, so I enjoyed Watchmen.
I had read the graphic novel beforehand.
Mm.
Admittedly, I'm not going to be one of those guys who are like, oh, I've had it on the shelf for like 20 years. I learned what blah, blah. No, I saw the film was coming out, so I bought the graphic novel and read it before the film. So, yeah, I was that guy. I'll own up to being that guy.
I was that guy for Dune. I read Dune before Dune came out.
How hard was that? Because that just feels like it was hard.
Dune's really cool, man. It's not that big either. It's like, it's here.
Really? I've heard
You're getting mixed up with Lord of the Rings, Jose.
There's loads. There's more than one. So I've read Dune and Dune Messiah. I haven't read Children of Dune yet, which is the next one.
And don't mention anything about this because there's potential spoilers for the other films.
But anyway,
because I think they're going to finish with Dune 2 because he just goes batshit from the later books.
You never know. Money talks, man.
I think Villeneuve will be happy to move on after Dune
Part 2. I think if they do it, it won't be Villeneuve that does it.
And I don't think Chalamet will come back from it. I think they know there's a point in when the story, the original material, just goes off the rails, and they need to stop it before it does that.
Because Dune Messiah just sort of rounds off the story of the first one.
So they could potentially do that then.
Yeah.
But in terms of this Zack Snyder, I think it's original IP. I thought I could have sworn I saw a trailer, but I guess I was wrong. But I mean, like we said with Army of the Dead, he can do a great film, and as long as it doesn't have any ties to anything, it's going to be great. Honestly,
I really liked Army of the Dead. I really enjoyed it.
I think it's going to be really well done. It might be a little weird at moments, because I remember in the Army of Dead, there's a scene where they're shooting at the zombies, and then you notice for like a split second, one of them looks like a robot, and it's not explained at all. So it's like, obviously Zack Snyder had some plans.
Isn't there a sequel coming to all that?
There was a sequel. Or a prequel.
It was a prequel. You're right.
With the German guy, the safecracker guy, and he wrote and directed it. But so this is your Christmas film on Netflix this year.
Yeah, I feel like it's worth it.
Very festive movie.
I have some movies of note that are coming out sooner that I'll mention, but I'm more interested in what's coming out later. The Equalizer 3, Denzel Washington, always a fun experience there. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Oh, dude, is that out this year?
Well, according to the list I saw, so now I'm not so sure. But I saw it on the list, and I'm like, oh man, those movies are so
amazing.
fun.
I watched it not long. Oh my god, it does say 20. I didn't know this. That's so exciting.
I actually just did an impersonation of a chicken. There, do it again.
I'm so glad that was the reaction, because I was the same way. I'm like, Chicken Run, this is gonna be fun. And then Hunger Games.
Ramsey's in it.
All right, here we go. Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I can't remember if there's a book. I read the first 3.
Yeah, it's a prequel book, isn't it? It's from the perspective of Snow, is it?
Jon Snow.
I never read the books or really even watched those Hunger Games films.
I read the books. Okay, I read the books and I watched the films. I thought the books were better than the films. Peter was the worst character ever in the history of cinema. He was just rubbish.
But yeah, is it from Snow's perspective? And what's the book? What was the book it's based on? Is it the same name?
I think it's the same name, but I think just the third book ended abruptly because I feel like she needed to finish it. It just ended so quickly.
We've mentioned this before, that the original Hunger Games, when it was turned in, her publisher said, you need to change this because it's very, very similar to a Japanese one that's just come out called Battle Royal. And she goes, okay, I'll add all the stuff about the capital and the fashion into it, but the whole bit where kids on the island are killing each other, we can keep that, right? Yes, but that is Battle Royal, which came out in the cinema.
I wanted to watch that with Tash the other day. It's on Amazon. It might be on Shudder, actually, but it's only in Japanese. Like, so obviously it's only in Japanese because it's Japanese, but there's no subtitle. Yeah, but there's no subtitles to it. So I don't know what they're saying.
I've seen it, and I think to a degree you don't really need subtitles. Honestly, it's one of those, like,
for Battle Royal.
Yeah, that's the one where they're on the
film
island.
in Japanese. Jose.
I remember watching it. I must have had subtitles at the time because I was like, because I was.
Otherwise, you're just like, what the? I don't know what's going on. These kids are just fucking killing each other for no reason. Look,
for me, this film it stinks of Why are we trying to humanize the villain, give him a tragic backstory, which makes him into the villain? I really don't care about it. Like, it just sounds like a bad idea. Like something's look, you look at the trailer, it's like, oh, look,
It'll
there's a guy
make
and a girl.
money.
Something bad's going to happen to
I
the
think that's all
girl,
that people care about.
and then he's going to become
Yeah,
evil.
It's interesting, but there aren't enough of the original players to really make this even worth
Having
going
said
back
that,
to.
you've got Rachel Zegler in it, who's been very good in everything she's been
There's
in
a
so
lot
far.
of negative press about her at the moment. That's Snow White, yeah, but it's also her. There's been really negative, quite racist things towards her at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, because she's Latino, isn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I also think it's because of her reaction to being cast as Snow White. Like, I think there's.
It is really odd that they had what's her name, Gal Gadot, as the mother or the stepmom, because she's still quite beautiful.
I think that's the point, though, isn't it?
And
That's the point,
terrible.
because Gal Gadot. I mean, the evil witch or whatever is always meant to have been the second most beautiful person, or was always the most beautiful person, and then Snow White comes along, who is the most beautiful person now. So that's why that's the jealousy part of it. So that's why, hang on a second, this person's more beautiful than I am. I ain't happy about that. Gonna go and kill her and send her off for some dwarves.
This one's just a quick nod for the video game fans. Five Nights at Freddy's is a movie, and it actually has a trailer. I don't know enough about the game to see if you could tell if it's true to the game, but it kind of seems like it from what I've heard. Maybe not 100%, but it does pull elements.
The game is set in a room where you've got loads of different cameras set up, like CCTV cameras, and you're there, you're like looking at that camera, and then the animatronics will move about, and you're like, oh shit, that animatronic's not there anymore, and you've got to try and and then the animatronics will slowly try and get to your room, and then they fucking shit you up when they get there.
I'd say it's 50% like that in the trailer. Then it has to set up a little bit more, but it has
can't be just a dude on CCTV the entire time. Can it be like, oh shit, they're coming for the door? That's because that's the game.
The little background that I know of the games, because I know there's sequels, is that the animatronics are possessed but not in a more traditional way, and I think the trailer alludes to that. So it tries to hold on to the core of the game, but also make it an interesting movie, because it uses the main character as a dad who has to play security for this building, who's been abandoned, but then he brings his daughter in, so they're almost in a way kind of trying to lure his daughter to the animatronics.
If people are looking forward to this film and they haven't seen Willy's Wonderland,
I was just waiting for you to say that, man.
Totally check that out, because there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Jose, have you heard of or seen Willy's Wonderland?
I've never even heard of it, and it sounds like an adult film.
It is definitely not an adult film. And it stars.
It depends on what you mean by adult film, I suppose. I mean,
there is a lot of violence by and to animatronic animals in it.
Oh wow!
It stars Nicolas Cage, the most Cage he's ever been, and the funniest thing about it, and he's a night watch. He's like a security guy working at a very similar place. And overnight, some kids break in and do kid stuff. Typical kid stuff in these films, and then the animatronic animals start murdering them all. But the coolest thing about Nicolas Cage in this film is he does not utter one single line of dialogue the whole film. And when I started watching, I was like, okay, they're really egging it on to when he's actually going to say something. It's going to be really cool. And then I get an hour into the film, I was like, they're not going to do it, man. They're going to have him say absolutely nothing. This whole film, it's just going to be full on Cage, screaming and shooting and killing stuff, but no really actual lines of dialogue.
He's just what's the line like? It has that classic line of they're not trapped in there. He's not trapped in there with him. Oh, I don't know. They're
the Watchman line from Rorschach
or something. Yeah,
you're trapped in here with me. All right, another one that I actually also saw. I saw a really quick little trailer for this. Maestro. It's with Carey Mulligan and Bradley Cooper. It's a simple little trailer, but there's a lot alluded to it. And one thing that was very evident that I actually just saw news on today is Bradley Cooper's wearing a prosthetic nose.
It's been slightly controversial.
Yes, he's wearing a prosthetic nose. He's not Jewish. And if you look at the photos of the original person he's playing, his nose wasn't that prominent.
Bernstein. As R.E.M. sang in The End of the World as We Know It. Leonard Bernstein.
Yes. So that one looked very interesting. And honestly, Carey Mulligan, I have maybe sort of a small film crush on her.
That's
so
okay.
I think I'm going to have to watch it. And then Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The reason I even bring it up is just
Aquaman, the lost film.
yes, it was originally slated for December of 2022. Then it got pushed back to March of 2023. And then through all these pushbacks, it has gone through 3 different regimes at Warner Brothers. And funny enough, has also gone.
Are we boring you, Neil? What's that all about? Huh? What's that all about?
He's not talking, so he's bored.
Yeah. He's gonna listen for a second.
I fully respect the fact that Jose has done research and has notes, David. I was just not that fussed about Aquaman 2.
But to round it out, it's on its 3rd rounds of reshoots in 2 years, which is unheard of because most movies, they usually go through maybe just 1 round. And yes, I know that they should have probably killed this movie, but it's gotten just a slight enough good reviews. But it's so funny just because to think that it's gone through 2 different Batman because of the way that it was originally supposed to come before Flash, and now it's coming after Flash, and they're trying to change things up.
I wonder if they could splice Michael Keaton's Batgirl footage into Aquaman. Just,
I don't know.
They've got it and they're not doing anything with it.
It's gone through so much because of the pushback and the re-edits.
It's the redheaded stepchild of the old DCU. This is the last film to come out under.
The funny thing is, the original Aquaman was the most profitable with 1.1 something billion dollars in sale in tickets.
Do you know what? I've watched it. I've only watched it once since I saw it in the cinema, and yeah, second time. You know what? It's stupid, but it's fun, and it looks amazing. So fair play.
I reckon they should release the Batgirl film as well. Just even if it's even if it's completely unfinished and like the special effects haven't been done, release it and then like just let fans have it, and then fans will create their own special effects with it and have a fucking right laugh. I reckon that'll bring real fan engagement to DC content, and it's content that's completely irrelevant now.
I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls a Deadpool, and then like in 2 years we see something like that, but from one editor.
There was a thing, wasn't it? James Gunn was saying about because everyone's on about Suicide Squad and release the Ayer cut, and apparently, like Ayer, I don't know if it was just him trying to generate interest himself, saying, "Oh well, I had a talk with James Gunn, and you might see the light of day at some point."
Yeah,
it was pretty terrible.
The last film I have to bring up, I'm going to tell you its credits first. It's an A24 film. It has Nathan Lane, Megan Mullally. It has Bowen Young. Mullally, yeah. It has Megan Mullally, Bowen Yang.
That's still not it, Jose. Megan Melanie.
Yes.
Oh no, I can't say it now.
Bowen Yang.
Name. David, try it.
All right, I'm going to keep going. Bowen Yang, which if you don't recognize the name, he's the first openly gay actor on SNL. He's the Asian guy. It's from the producer of The Greatest Showman, the director of Borat, and as a kicker, it also stars Megan Thee Stallion, which is an American rap artist.
Yeah, I didn't know that. He had to explain to me.
Yes.
She cameoed in She-Hulk.
And so it's also A24's first musical. The name of the movie, Dix the Musical. It is about 2 jerks who find out their brothers lost at birth, mostly because it kind of plays on the whole movie with The Parent Trap, where the parents split up and they kind of each take their own kid, and it is hilarious if you're into raunchy comedies.
The first line from the musical of the trailer I watched just now is, "My cock is fucking massive, it leaves the lady sore." That's kind of all you need to know.
Literally says that. We might have to bleep that.
It might have been "my dick is fucking massive." I might have changed it there, but yeah.
I mean, that won't make the trailer, but you know.
Yes,
our trailer.
But I just think it's in the vein of just like really funny movies that we need right now. Because I just saw.
Everyone loves a good musical with loads of swearing and bad language in it.
Every song will be about dickies, though. But when you mentioned Dix the Musical, my man, it reminded me of Theatre Camp, which I don't. Is that already being released?
No, but I'm going to see it next Tuesday from when we record this on a preview. Theatre Camp looks amazing. Yes.
There you go. I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah.
It kind of looks like a more realistic Wet Hot American Summer, but more focused on like the kids and the theatre side of things.
Yeah.
It's like if Amy Poehler's character and Bradley Cooper's character from that but the film was just about them getting the kids ready for the show, that was what the film would be. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's got Ben Platt in it, who I feel like needs to apologise for Dear Evan Hansen. And
I was about to say,
yeah. Well, he's Dear Evan Hansen in the musical. It's fucking amazing. He's amazing in it. But in the movie, he's like 35 or 30. How old is he? I don't know. But he's way too old to be playing an 18-year-old. Yeah,
37, I think. 42.
Anyway, he's too old to be playing a 18-year-old kid in that film. Yeah, but
teenager.
And it's also got the guy from Who Drew the Dicks documentary. He's the guy that drew the dicks, or he's the guy that people think drew the dicks.
Yes, we should find out.
Yeah,
American
Vandal.
Oh my God, Neil, that's your homework. You're watching that.
You've not seen American Vandal? Oh, dude, it's amazing.
No, we had this conversation
last time. 100%.
David watches The Bear. It is. David watches The Bear, Neil watches American Vandal, and then you tell me horror movies to watch.
Watch season 1, American Vandal. I'll tell you a documentary horror film that I think you should watch. It's fucking brilliant.
I just saw the glaze on Jole's eyes. I think, like, can I just watch the actual film? Why does it have to be a
No. It's not a documentary. It's a mockumentary, but it's a horror mockumentary. It's very good. I can't remember its name. I'll look it up. I'm looking forward to The Nun too. The next
said
film.
No. What said none?
Said me, fucking dick. One in 3 people on this call are looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that next film in the Conjuring universe. I quite like the Conjuring universe, even though the best film from that universe was the Conjuring.
Was The Conjuring?
Yeah,
I don't mind the original 3. I like the main sort of timeline, but I'm not that fussed by the sequels.
Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo was the film that I want you to watch.
Gotcha.
Lake Mungo.
Okay, Lake Mungo. Right, guys. Well, I'm going to tell you now about the films that various amount of websites are predicting to be the Oscar winners for next year. And first up, we have Saltburn. Anyone heard of Saltburn?
Only from your notes.
Because it's in your script. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, no. This is Promising Young Woman's director, Emerald Fennell's second film, starring Barry Keoghan.
Hey.
Barry Cohen. The Irish guy.
Barry Keoghan.
Kieran. Pam's not going to be happy.
She hates us.
As a college student who becomes infatuated with his rich schoolmate, played by Jacob Elordi. Also stars Rosamund Pike and Carey Mulligan and Richard E. Grant. So, I mean, after Promising Young Woman, whatever she does next is worth you checking out, right? So this is definitely on the list. And this is getting talked about for, all the awards already. Next up, we have Ferrari. And it's about the legendary driver, Enzo Ferrari.
Has anyone ever seen the picture of Mesut Ozil and Enzo Ferrari? Do you know who Mesut Ozil is, Jose?
No idea.
He's an ex-football / soccer player for all other viewers out there that don't know football. Google, everybody now, just Google, even the listeners, Google Mesut Ozil and Enzo Ferrari. Do it right now.
How do you spell his name?
That's a good point.
Live Googling. This is amazing podcasting, guys.
Look at them. They're the same fucking person. He's a time traveller.
What you're saying is Mesut Ozil should have been cast as Enzo Ferrari instead of Adam Driver.
Look at that. It's uncanny, right?
You know this is an audio medium.
Okay,
David,
that's why I'm telling you, everyone needs to Google it.
His name is Mesutozil. Is the name of the guy who's...
He's a German footballer. Yeah.
So he's currently alive, and he looks like...
He's currently... He's only just retired, I think.
So yeah. Enzo Ferrari is the man who's not alive, and they look alike. I think
they do. They're like the same person.
Thank you,
I think
David.
That's what we needed to know the most.
That's what we need to establish there. And the film is a biopic, but it's set towards the end of his career in 1957, where we find him on the brink of bankruptcy, and he wages his and his family's future on a 1,000-mile race across Italy against the iconic Mille Miglia. Fuck knows if that's right. The film also stars Penelope Cruz, Shailene Woodley. Thank you very much, Jose. And Jack O'Connell, which I can't pronounce. But what separates this from other biographies? Well, it's directed by Michael Mann.
There's going to be a lot of car crashes and a lot of explosions.
Yes, this kind of feels like a alternate universe version of the Adam Driver performance from the Gucci film?
65?
Nope, that was
definitely...
that was sarcasm.
I'm glad you caught that at least.
I was also got the wrong director. I was thinking of someone completely different.
I mean, it's the guy who did
Yeah,
Toys,
yeah.
That's
which is one of the
I
finest
was
films of all time.
way off the bat.
You were so far off the bat, it was jammed
Well, I was
somewhere
thinking of
else.
the bloke that did Pearl Harbor for some reason.
Michael
Yeah,
Bay.
Michael Bay. Yeah, they're both called
No.
Michael. I think that's where I got confused.
It's very easy to. Lots of Michaels out there.
Yeah,
Jordan.
There you go. Michael Jordan.
Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
Myers.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Myers. Now, there are a couple of directors who always seem to get nominated no matter what they make. No matter, like, they you know, what we like to call our art house directors. So next up, we have a film called May December, and it's Oscar winner and favourite Todd Haynes' new film, starring Charles Melton, Natalie Portman, and Julianne Moore. And it's a romantic drama set 20 years after a tabloid scandal where the married couple with a large age discrepancy buckle under the pressure when a young actress arrives to research their past for a film role. I'm guessing Natalie Portman's going to be the young actress, which is funny because she's not as young anymore. But then I suppose comparatively towards Julianne Moore. And I haven't heard of the guy, so I'm guessing the guy is a young actor. This is literally an actress doing research for a role for the real couple from a story that was big 20 years
you
ago.
know what?
And then
people don't realise, but we've been recording for a lot longer than you've been listening because someone here fucked up. And we're starting to flag a little bit at this point, I think.
It's not been 5.5 hours, no matter what you say, David. It just hasn't. It hasn't. So May to December, which is definitely not how long we've been recording this episode. Next up, a film that I'm seeing on a preview in a couple of weeks and is rumoured to be this year's foreign language film, even though it's not actually foreign language, which I didn't know until I saw the trailer. But it's
that makes no sense. How does that make sense? Jose, mate. It's this year's foreign language movie, but it ain't got any foreign language in it. It's you know.
It's got some foreign language. Okay, so the film is called Past Lives, and it's a debut romantic drama from South Korean/Canadian director Celine Song, and this has been getting rave reviews from the festival circuit. It stars Greta Lee, Teo Yo, and John Magaro, and the film follows a reunion of two childhood friends as they contemplate their relationships and where they are in their own lives. And literally, they played the trailer the other day. 5 stars from all the reviews so far.
I'm going to feel weird saying this on a podcast, but I saw TikTok of people who have watched this movie. And Neil, you might want to take some tissues because everyone this has cried their eyes out.
Oh, for that reason. Okay.
No, it's David. No, it's a very touching movie from what I have seen from people who have seen the movie. So just be ready to have your heartstrings tugged, is what I'm saying. So I'm actually kind of
heartstrings, David.
What has made you cry more than any other movie, Neil?
Oh,
E.T.
Oh, I was just saying E.T. scared the shit out of me as a kid. Okay, Jose, what's for you? Made you cry more than any other movie?
First film that comes into your head.
Well,
Meet the Spartans.
Well, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be weird because of one scene that takes it out of me. Because it's Groundhog Day, but the scene where the old man dies continuously and Bill Murray tries to save him, that scene really gets to me every time.
I can't remember that scene at all in that film.
You're a monster, David.
I can't remember that.
You're Ned Ryerson.
That scene just takes you out for a small portion of the film, and it actually, I think, is the biggest turning point for Bill Murray's character to really. It's a really touching moment, and it always gets to me. I don't necessarily cry, but when I think of a sad moment in film, that's the first thing that hits my head because it's such a contrast from comedy to a sad moment.
I get very emotional when I watch films, so a lot of films make me cry. But what never ceases to make me, The Notebook and Marley and Me every fucking time.
Okay, Marley and Me, that's given. Time. That's sadness. That's all amazing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so sad. You ain't know. You like. I think anyone that's. Oh.
Yeah,
so
if
sad.
you're a cat person, you still
want to
cry.
think about it.
Yeah.
But the whole point of this was I thought this was a South Korean film. Because of the names of the actors.
What were we talking about?
And then I saw the trailer, Past Lives. There's a preview of it at Cineworld in, I think, about a week and a half's time on a Monday night. So I'm going to go and see that. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And apparently it's going to be ready to be emotionally destroyed. So, yeah.
Bring the tissues.
For crying.
Bring the tissues. And next up, do you remember a director called Alexander Payne?
No.
Did Election. He did Sideways. Sideways guy, the wine guy film. So he hasn't done anything for a little while. This is his next film. And once again, starring from Sideways, Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa. And it's listed as a comedy drama. Now, the plot is about a disliked Barton Academy teacher, played by Giamatti, called Paul Hunnam. And he's tasked with supervising students who are unable to return home over Christmas holiday. And he's forced to deal with one really rebellious student called Angus. And from the little info I can glean, it's set during the Vietnam War, so it's a period piece. And like Todd Haynes, Payne is one of these film directors. Whenever he makes a new film, it doesn't do very well at the box office, but the critics and the art house crowd love it. And to be fair, The Descendants, that was his other one with George Clooney, the one set in Hawaii.
Very controversial.
That was him
that
as
was
well.
good.
So
I quite like that one, but okay.
No, that was good. You'll get it mixed up with Cameron Crowe's one from Hawaii, where Emma Stone was
I
cast
am
as
mixing
Hawaii.
it up. Yes, you
Right?
are correct.
Aloha. Yes, I know my bad Hawaiian films from my good Hawaiian films. So, anyone fancy that? The Holdovers.
I didn't know about it, but Paul Giamatti and the director that did Sideways, I feel like I'd watch it.
Yeah, and it's period. Also, he's won an Oscar twice for writing Alexander Payne as well. So, now, next up, from the success of the German language All Quiet on the Western Front last year, we've got this year's German language war drama by British director Jonathan Glazer. And this is called The Zone of Interest. And it's adapted by Glazer from Martin Amis's novel of the same name.
Is the novel English or German?
I think, Martin Amis is British, so I'm guessing it's in English.
The novel. Okay,
the novel's
I was going to say
British
director, but everything else is German on the project. Then why would you not just get a German director?
Well, British director, British writer, but German project.
Okay.
But it's the premise of the film is that the commandant of Auschwitz, Rudolf Huss, and his wife Hedwig strive to build a dream life for their family in a house in the garden next to the camp.
So wait, so this story is about a bloke that wants to live a romantic life next to a concentration camp.
That's what the premise sets up, yeah. And he's a head of the concentration camp.
Oh, that's fucked up.
I mean, it depends on the tone, right?
Yeah.
It really depends on the tone how they do this. But I mean, it's based on a book, right? So the book's obviously been successful. So I'm more interested in it now, knowing that premise, than I was than anything else. Like, I want to see how they do it and what it is. And the fact it's getting so much like awards acclaim already, it's going to be very interesting, man. So that about rounds us up. You guys will be glad to hear, not listeners, because I'm sure you've been enjoying this, but my two flagging co-hosts over there. But before we go, we did ask our listeners what films they were looking forward to on our Twitter and Fred's. And this is what we got. From Fred's, our first comment comes from the Revisionist Almanac, and they said they're looking forward to Killers of the Flower Moon, Anatomy of a Fall, The Zone of Interest, there you go, and Poor Things.
From Pa We Fiction on Threads.
Glad you got that one.
Perfect Days, Napoleon, and Dune Part 2. Perfect Days is a German-Japanese film by the legendary Wim Wenders. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing more of that now. And I think Dune Part 2 and Napoleon is obvious.
That's a given, yeah. The only one actually in the previous Revisionist Almanac guys said Anatomy of a Fall, which I know nothing about. So that's one we're going to have to look up and get back to you on.
From Twitter, and we are not calling it X because we're keeping the bird alive. Drunk with Buds podcast said, I'm not excited for any of those. Haha. Dang. Honestly, I don't even know what's coming out. Maybe Saw X, if anything. So there we go. Torture porn loving podcast.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm surprised none of you mentioned Saw X because it's right in your.
To be fair, I've given up with I really liked the Saw franchise. Maybe very early on. Maybe I don't know. I feel like my horror tastes have changed a bit. I'm not a big fan of torture porn anymore, and I stopped enjoying it roughly around about Saw 5 or 6.
Did you watch Spiral?
I didn't. No, I didn't bother.
No.
Was that
good.
the one with Chris Rock?
Yes, Chris Rock. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've stopped watching anything to do with the franchise around.
And not just because the writer of Saw Spiral, Josh Stolberg, follows us.
No way.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
that's why he likes. That's why he wanted to shout out. But Saw X is the next big Barbenheimer, like tying it back to the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Saw X, Barbenheimer,
not
Saw Patrol. There we go.
Saw Patrol. Are you familiar with the Saw Patrol?
I did notice that when people were talking about studios trying to recreate the Barbenheimer idea, Saw Patrol was being pushed, and I was just like, no.
Honestly, I reckon this will pump
Yes.
Paw Patrol's numbers. I reckon people will do a double bill. They'll go and see Paw Patrol, and then they'll go and see Saw
here's
X
the-
for a laugh.
Here's
And
the thing: is I don't think it can
work
work as well because Paw Patrol is literally for small children, and you can't bring them to Saw. You know.
No, but you'll have like drunken
Oh, no,
idiots
there's gonna
do
be-
it. Like drunken adults being like, "Yeah, let's go watch Saw and then let's go watch Paw Patrol and
Yeah.
laugh throughout it and ruin it for so many children."
I bet you some indie cinemas will do a double bill back to back of them. Like
Yeah.
indie cinemas, not like the Prince Charles in London. They will do a Saw Patrol evening because they're just on it, man. Next up, we got the Big Fat Movie Guy at the Big Fat Movie Guy, and he said he's looking forward to Blue Beetle, which I'm seeing tomorrow night as we record this. Saw X,
Hey,
shout out for Saw X. Exorcist the Believer, which
no one
get in
no
the
one
sea.
mentioned this. It doesn't look
It's
great.
the same director who ruined the Halloween franchise. Like the new Halloween he did was good. Me and David went and saw that at the cinema together, and we enjoyed it to a point. Then there was Halloween Kills, and Evil didn't die tonight, despite them saying it every 2 minutes. And then Halloween Ends. It didn't. I mean, it did. But
I'm going to reserve judgment on it until I see it. But the trailer didn't look great. But the only thing it really had going for it was the iconic.
I will go and see it.
No, the iconic.
Yeah, which they stop and start like dicks because you can't
But
play the actual song.
I'm not looking. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it, but we haven't spoken.
You know, he's
about
trying to drag this out to a trilogy again.
I'd rather.
That's the
not,
plan.
Yeah.
I'd rather he just
It's
not
a
be allowed to
fucking
make horror films.
Exorcist. It's not a trilogy.
Why?
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. He's also said Dune Part 2, if not delayed, which we all hope
definitely
and pray for. The Marvels, Wonka, Rebel Moon, Ferrari, and Aquaman 2. So, I mean, similar taste here to Big Fat Movie Guy. He's picked pretty much everything that was on our list, except for Exorcist and Saw X, which we did just talk about that. He also said still not unsure what is actually being released in 2023.
Which is kind of the problem. There's been a real lack of marketing on releases to the end of this year.
Well, because they don't know if they can market the films
it's
or
a
not.
real
Because
fucking
of
nightmare.
Now, here's a question: Can trailers still be put out at least, or is that still kind of against?
I don't know. Probably, I think trailers can be released. I think it's like actors can't do press. They can't do
I feel like
interviews,
the
they can't do
actors won't
podcasts.
promote the film, but the studios will still.
I'm actually going to a live TV podcast on Saturday, a Pilot TV podcast, my favourite one I listen to. And the guest for it has just been confirmed because I had to wait a while. And it's Ricky Gervais.
Oh, I fucking love Ricky
Holy
Gervais, bro.
moly.
You're going to see Ricky Gervais.
Do you know how much the tickets cost
Go on.
for it as well? £15.
What?
Dude. Where's this?
Wow.
Yeah, and then Ricky Gervais is Saturday night.
This Saturday?
This Saturday. So
in London?
yeah, so by the time this is edited,
Whereabouts?
the King's Place near King's Cross.
Oh,
so you can literally get off the train, it's there. And there's still tickets
Wow.
available, David. Still tickets available. I'm there, man. I'm going up for it. I'm staying the night.
Damn.
It's the whole thing.
All right,
It's gonna
so-
be good.
I love Ricky Gervais.
Next listener, it's not that bad at Not That Bad Cast. Have to say I'm really stoked for the creator. Love what Gareth Edward did with Rogue One, and the trailer has me hyped. I agree.
In your face, David.
I'd stay. I'm just leaving. Yeah, man.
Next comment. Next reader comment.
Adrian Rickard at RKid84 said, looking forward to A Haunting in Venice. Nobody's mentioned that yet. Yeah. Something different to the last two Brannon outings, especially the last one.
And I actually replied to Adrian on Twitter and said, yeah, the only thing I could remember from the last film was the mustache got a backstory of its own. Honestly, there's a prequel backstory to the...
There was, wasn't there?
how he got his mustache.
Yeah. How he got the mustache.
And the fact that every scene Emma Mackey was in with Gal Gadot, she just acts through the...
What is your problem with Gal Gadot today?
She's rubbish.
She's turned him down multiple times. Gal Gadot,
Yeah, dude,
please.
We've been
just
through
get
this.
over it,
Yeah.
mate. She doesn't
There was a
want
restraining
you.
order.
She's married,
Just-
for Christ's
just
sake.
let it go. Let it go.
Moving on. The Rating Room. Killers of the Flower Moon, currently reading the book, and Dune Part 2. Intrigued to see some of the others too.
Yes.
I've just read the next podcast name.
The next podcast have one of the best, dirtiest sounding names for something that is in no way at all. And I'll explain that afterwards. So read it out first.
Here we
Jose.
go.
Off you go.
2 Girls, 1 Reusable Cup podcast at 2G1 Reusable Cup. I am so hyped for Dune Part 2.
What a name for a podcast, man.
No, I fucking love it. 2 girls, 1 reusable cup.
And it's I was going to say it's a podcast about sustainability by these 2 girls in their 20s who just started following us the other day. But what a name. I'm honestly going to listen to their podcast just because of the name.
I think they've gained another follower in me because now I have to find out what they talk about. I mean, you said
Exactly.
sustainability, but now I have to hear them out because I think they have the same kind of humor I have with this name.
Stu World Order, who is a long-term follower of the podcast, is
Friend of the pod. I've guested
he's been a long
with
time.
Stu
Yeah,
on
we've been.
Suicide Squad episode, and we got one on Constantine coming out at some point.
He's been around a while. Yeah, he said, honestly, as of right now, all I care about is the Marvels. So a lot of love for the Marvels. There you go.
All right.
And he followed up with, for me, the only thing left I actively excited for is the Marvels. But I said,
I missed an M out.
You didn't put the M in.
You were like Ron Burgundy. Fuck you, San Diego.
But I'm sure there are lots I will see. I'm excited for the start of Oscar season 2 after last year's nominees were so accessible and enjoyable.
And I will say, if you're a fan of Buffy, Stu over on his website right now is doing a Buffy rewatch because he never watched it first time round, and his reviews on his website are hilarious. Like, he hates Xander with a fiery passion, and I think looking at Buffy, because at the time everyone was like, it's so well written, Joss Whedon's a master, and of course Joss Whedon is in the toilet now, and it's funny seeing how Buffy is now viewed through a modern lens. And do you know what? Some of it has aged very badly, and some of his abhorrent behaviour is clearly obvious when you're rewatching the shows now. So yeah, go over to stewworldorder.com and have a look at his reviews because they are really good. The Movies and Us podcast said, Killers of the Flower Moon, Dune Part 2, Poor Things, and excited to see what other great movies are coming out that aren't on our radar yet.
Awesome. I think we found some pretty good ones, not only within my research, but with the people that have been commenting these movies. That Mason Boy at That Mason Boii, which is why I pronounced it that way.
I think you can say it. That Mason Boy at That Mason
Boy.
Napoleon, he said, or this person said, Napoleon and the Killers of the Flower Moon are pretty high up there. Also can't wait for Maxine with 3 X's.
Yeah.
Though bet we get that next year.
Yeah, I don't think that's this year. Yeah, but the only first sort of promo trailer's out for it, and it doesn't show anything. But Jose,
it's going to be.
Are you familiar with Maxine?
Not at all.
Right. So are you familiar with the film X starring Mia Goth or Pearl starring Mia Goth?
Or is that the horror movie where like they're being killed off on a porn set?
Yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with that.
So, right, a brief little bit of X because I loved X. That was a horror film of the year that came out for me. X was shot in New Zealand on the cheap right as COVID was about to kick in. So they finished it. It was set in the 70s. And then while they were out there, the director, writer, and the main star Goth had an idea to do a prequel about one of the characters from X. And because
there's the elderly lady in the film, who was also starred by Mia Goth.
Oh wow!
With amazing prosthetics on it as well, and she come back to the sequel and plays Pearl, which is also starring the newly cast Superman.
David Corenswet is in Pearl as a slightly creepy-ish projectionist.
It's good, man. They're very good horror films.
Okay.
I'd say X is better than Pearl, but Pearl was very much actor. The ending of Pearl is just like when the credits roll, you will never feel more uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's the most uncomfortable credit scene ever.
Oh wow!
You've probably seen it, just like
in
on
GIFs
Twitter
and places. Yeah, it's like
I hope not.
But it's basically like The Wizard of Oz, but without the singing and more murder. Is what my review of it was.
Okay.
Yeah. She fucks a scarecrow.
Oh, you just gave away something.
I didn't.
The funniest thing is when you watch these films, Jose, and you're like, okay, Mia Goth is a goddess and superb, and then you find out she's English and she sounds like a Victorian child in real life.
She does.
Her voice is just...
Dude, watch the film. Yeah, watch the films and then just watch any interview with Mia Goth. She sounds like, oh, hello. Yes, I can't even do it. She sounds so fucking
I actually enjoyed you trying, though. That was... Have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the TV show about cops in New York?
Yeah. Brilliant. Andy Samberg, man.
Totally a sex tape.
But the actress who plays the lesbian or the bisexual character who's got
Rosa.
the deep voice, Rosa. There we go.
She's in Encanto. She's a singer in Encanto.
Yes. So
she's my
the actress who plays Rosa, her voice is actually quite high, for compared to her character, and she was trying to do something different. And she always talks about how when the show first came out and people came up to her, they actually got angry to realize that her voice wasn't like Rosa's. So
Well, they're dicks.
But yeah, that's what you just reminded me of when you made your funny little impersonation.
It's just watch
The
just watch a
weather
clip
is terrible.
from it,
The weather is terribly cold.
and then watch it. Yeah, dude, it's
Oh,
insane.
also watch Infinity Pool because that's her and Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh, I've not seen that yet.
It'll be one of your films of the year, David. It's bizarre body horror. David
Ooh.
Cronenberg's son, Brandon Cronenberg, is his new film, and
Ooh.
you know how terrifying she is in Pearl, right, David?
Mm.
She has a scene where she's just saying the word James over and over again, and it
Jay, I've
You've
seen
seen that
in the
clip?
trailer. She's like,
Yeah.
James.
yeah, that
Where she's in the car.
Yeah, yeah.
or something.
that
Yeah,
it just, it makes you feel sorry for anyone who's ever been called James because the rest of their life, if they have an argument, their girlfriend is going to do that voice, and you're going to be like,
It's going to take some heat
That's
off
me
of
pulling-
Ellen. I have the right name,
Oh,
right?
Alan.
Alan.
You've never seen that clip of
Alan. It's the chipmunk.
It's a chipmunk.
Innit? It's
I
a
thought it was
chipmunk.
Dave.
It's Alan.
Dave.
It's Alan. Wasn't it? Alan. It's
Yes.
Alan. I think.
All right, we've definitely gone off course.
all I can say
I'm
is
gonna have to Google it.
post Barbenheimer, I think there is a lot we can still be excited about in the cinema this year. And I think we fairly accurately or obviously predicted many of next year's Oscar winners. So, hey, get us to present the show now because it's not going to be on Sky Movies in the UK anymore. They've lost the rights to it. Yay! Now, remember we talked about this a little bit earlier in the year about the Oscars, and we was always like, well, you know, they should make it. My argument was they should include more categories, don't cut people off, and make it longer because who gives a fuck about the TV audience declining for it? It's not for TV people. There was always this weird thing where, oh, it's the Oscars. Let's watch what we're watching to see what people are wearing. No, I don't give a shit about any of that. I want to see the people who be rewarded for their great work over the course of the year.
It actually pisses me off the whole like glamour side of it.
Yeah.
Like the oh my god, what are you
And I bet
wearing?
that
You're
was all
fabulous.
originally
It
designed.
really fucking annoys me because the same exact people that will be wearing these ridiculously expensive outfits and dresses that are going to have some sort of political statement on them or some sort of fucking reflection on society will be the same people like that'll be saying like, oh no, like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we've got to spend more money, we've got to save the children, we got like all the same people complaining about shit, and then they'll go and do some fucking thing where they'll spend like £1 million on a fucking dress, and it pisses me right off. I don't get it. I've never understood
I honestly reckon it was like back in the day when they first started doing it, it was to get like people to put it on TV and like, oh, come and see this glamorous stars, watch it. And what the problem is, what they've been trying to like cut down on the ceremony each year, make the running time shorter, make it funnier, more jokes, bring in influencers, bring in cameos, do all this stupid shit. That's not what cinema people want at all. Like, if you're a fan of cinema, I'm pretty sure you would like, you know, you want to see Hans Zimmer fucking have his speech. You don't want it to be cut off and put on the.
I want to see Hans Zimmer perform. Maybe like get Hans
Ooh.
Zimmer fucking performing. That'd be awesome, dude. You know what I mean? Like have him do a song from the fucking movie there on that he won the award for.
And not forgetting, Best Editor got ironically edited off the main show and was put in the like, and it makes you like, as an editor myself, man, I'm just like, so I could literally get to the peak of my craft, you know, Oscar-winning editor, and I still wouldn't make the cut, ironically, of being on the main broadcast. Bastards. But
really
yeah, so hire us to do the Oscars because, you know, why not? Be a laugh. Right, so I'm off to write my opening monologue and script for the Oscars because, you know, I'm the script guy. Jose, what are you going to be doing at the Oscars?
I'll be the guy who's holding the camera, getting reactions of everyone with the bad jokes and whatnot.
There'll be no bad jokes because I'm writing the script. It'll be fantastic. And David, what are you doing at the Oscars?
Come, buddy. We all know I'm the host. I'm the comedy.
Ooh.
I'm the smart. I'm
Summer
the looks,
dance.
I'm the glamour.
Summer dance
I'm
number.
the comedy. I'm
He's
the yeah.
the talent.
I'm I'm the person that everybody wants to see.
Yeah, there we go.
Everybody's there for a little bit of
Little bit of you, little bit of you.
a little bit of
Hey, a little bit of you.
David. Hey.
You're going to be the person who's blatantly cancelled the day after.
And then I am booed off the stage. Yeah.
Probably.
And
Yeah.
shunned back into your dungeon.
I probably like revealed myself or something on camera.
Wow, that's very
Like,
bold.
like,
Bold move.
hey man, you're the one that got the reaction of the shot. Hey, you're the one.
Yeah, you provide me the shock and awe.
And on that note, viewers, listeners, whatever you are, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for sitting through all of this.
I'm sorry that Neil couldn't work out what you were.
It was a quick 20 minutes, wasn't it?
We needed roads.